Hi, this is Bill Cadwallader, and this is the second video of a three-part video on advanced techniques for reducing and minimizing MEP or dirty electricity. So we're at the client's house now, and what we're going to do is we're going to test how the client feels with each of these plug-in filters. So the most important thing on this step is to see if the client has a positive reaction, a neutral reaction, no reaction at all, or a negative reaction. Because the one thing we don't want to do is use any filter where the client would have a negative reaction. Half the clients have a positive or a negative reaction. The other half clients just have a neutral reaction with all the filters. So the other thing we need to do is at this home it had a swimming pool. So before you start, turn on the swimming pool, turn on the air conditioning, make sure the air conditioning is on. And if they had solar, they don't have solar, make sure the solar is on. But a couple of houses away, there is solar. So those three items create a lot of dirty electricity, as well as the regular electronics. And so we're in the kitchen, and one reason we do use the kitchen is the outlets are at the torso level. So that's very important that the client can determine if there is a problem with the filter or if they feel better with a filter. If you're in most of the other rooms, the outlets are very low, so it's around the ankle or a little bit above, and they can't determine as well whether or not they have a reaction. So the very first thing you do is, once you've got those turned on, the other thing is, if they have any dirty electricity filters currently, you need to unplug those through the house. So take a tour of the house, make sure all those are unplugged. And then secondly, if they have a whole house filter that we showed you, the 4 types of whole house filters, then what you want to do is turn the breaker off or unplug those at the breaker panel. Very, very important. We don't want any of those to contradict what we're doing here. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug in our connection with our 2 meters here. So the Stetzer, whenever you have the Stetzer or the green wave and you see a 1, that means it's 2000. So it's hovering a little bit above 2000 or a little bit under. And then the green wave, look at both numbers. And when you do plug in filters, you will only look at the bottom number. It's a little under 2000 as well. So very, very high. Here's the form I use, and that's in the drop box. So this is the kitchen, and the very last one is dirty electricity, and we have GS units, which is the Stetzer, and then we have millivolts, which is the green wave. And please use both of these. You already have a green wave, but get a Stetzer because they measure dirty electricity differently. Stetzer also stops at 150 kilohertz, and green wave goes up to 10,000 kilohertz, so it covers a lot more frequencies. So we're going to unplug this. It's very important to unplug this because we don't want the client to hear the noise that would distract them. So we're going to put this aside. And the other thing is, I've got my NFA 1000, so that's very important before and after you plug in a filter to make sure this doesn't go up, or any Gauss meter would work. So we have the homeowner coming over. And here's Micah. Thank you very much, Micah. And we have Lucy. Look at that. Now, normally we just test the homeowner, and that's what we're going to do today. But thank you, Lucy, for attending. We appreciate that. So what we're going to do is, there's 3 types of radiation from the wires: electric, magnetic, and then what's called dirty electricity, or MEP. So that's what we're going to be testing today. The bad news is most homes in the world have it. The good news is we have filters to filter that out. So that's very good. So this one is, we're going to test the 5 filters that we have. These are the most common filters that are used. And we're going to see if you have a positive reaction, a neutral reaction, no reaction at all, or a negative reaction. And that's very, very important for your clients to never put in a filter where someone would have a negative reaction. So here are the 5 filters that we have. We have a Stetzer filter, as you saw before in video 1. We have a green wave 2500i, a green wave 1500G, a green wave 2500i 3P, and a green wave 2500i 2P. Okay, so we're going to start with the Stetzer and see how you feel. So have your client sort of close her eyes or his eyes right about here and see how they feel. So if you can do that, Micah, sort of see how you feel. right now.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm going to step right behind you and then plug that in. If you want to step back toward the filter, see if you feel any difference. And it takes about 5 to 15 seconds, normally for a client, if they're going to feel a reaction, to feel that. Okay, so no reaction. So that's a good thing, because that's a filter that we can use to filter the house, because she has a neutral reaction. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to plug this back in again, just to make sure. And I don't see any difference on the NFA 1000, so that's good. We're going to set this down, put it over there. And then we're going to do the second filter. So we'll plug it in here and step back toward the filter, if you will. Close your eyes, 5 or 15 seconds. And normally this test takes about 5 minutes. So we had no reaction there. And let me check my NFA 1000. We're good there. The magnetic fields didn't go up. We're going to put this over here in this particular area. So these are the areas where we don't have any reaction at all. So let me plug in the third filter here. This is a Greenwave 1500G. Okay, no reaction. So again, that's a good thing, because we have a lot of options. So that is a good thing. Oops. Let me just make sure we check the NFA 1000 again. Yep, we're okay there. And let me plug in the next one. Okay, if you want to step back here. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I'll just double check that again. We're good there. On the Gauss meter, it's very important you check each time. So got the number there. Let me get that plugged in. If you want to step over here, please. Okay, wonderful. We checked the NFA 1000. We didn't have a change in the magnetic fields. So the good news is that about half the clients don't have any reaction, and that's good, because now you have a lot of options to use. And the other thing is, what we did beforehand is we tested these plug-in versions of the whole house. So we tried the static with her before, no difference. We tried the PX-DNA, there was no difference. We tried the RX-DNA V2X, no difference with that. And then the Sine Tamer plug-in, we found no difference with that. So with this particular house that has so much, has a lot of dirty electricity, we have a lot of options, which is good. So what we first do is we use the plug-in filters to see how low we can get it throughout the house. So we go room to room and start to see how low we can get it. And there's a synergistic approach that you can have, where if you plug it in one room, then the other room will start to be lower than if you hadn't plugged it in. So we go through the house and see how we did. If we can't get our goal of 50 for non-sleeping areas and 30 for sleeping areas, we would look at those numbers, and if the homeowner wanted to go a little, even greater reduction, then we would consider plugging in the Greenwave or the Stetzer in an outlet close to the breaker box. We'd plug in 2 of each on each hot wire. Or we would start to use the whole house version of these 4 that I've talked to before. This is the whole house, it's a plug-in. This is a whole house plug-in. But the static as well as the Sine Tamer makes a wired-in one that covers both areas, both hots. So what we're going to do is we're just going to plug in a filter and see how much just one filter would produce it for her. Just to show you, and then I'm not going to plug in a lot of filters, but just one filter just to see how much we can get it down with a single filter, and then you'd plug in multiple filters throughout the home. So we got our numbers again, and they're about the same. I'm actually going to just put this on the upper one. And then we're just going to take a green wave, 2500, and we'll see how much it comes down. And again, before and after, you always want to look at your NFA 1000 to check magnetic fields, so we're okay with that. So with just one filter, it reduced it 75%. So this is a $29 solution. And with the Stetzer, it actually went down to $390. So that reduced it 85% just with a single filter. So that's very encouraging because now we can either use the plug-in or the whole house solutions to get this down. So that's very, very good. So again, thank you for watching part 2 of the video. In our next video, we'll cover some specific items. We'll cover some other items with raising magnetic fields and some other things like that. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.